Welcome back, everyone, to the GOATcast podcast. As you can see, we're back on Wednesdays. We said from now on, we will be dropping on Mondays and Wednesdays. So, yeah, make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel so you can never miss the notification. So, today we have Midweek Mayhem, where we will be giving some hot takes of things going on around the NBA. Some of these might be real spicy. We'll see. I'm CW, as you can see, and we got my man Big Nige back.
Yes, sir.
So let's get into these hot takes. I'm gonna go first. I don't know if this one is too spicy, but pretty much, I'm pretty sure Steve Ballmer's gonna blow the whole thing up. He's gonna throw an atomic bomb on the Clippers after this season. It's pretty much been a disaster trading for James Harden so far, and it's a small sample size, yes, but they just lost to the Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, unless they go undefeated the rest of this season and just mow through the playoffs and win the championship, other than that, this will probably be seen as a failure across the board. And if I'm Steve Ballmer, I'm starting at the top, and everybody's going from Trent Redden, their general manager, has to go. Why would he trade assets for an aging James Harden, who wasn't even in shape when he came? He was trying to work himself into shape because he didn't even show up to training camp for the most part. So, I mean, that was just some idiocy by that organization. So, Steve Ballmer, and plus, Steve Ballmer's worth $110 billion, so he's not hurting for cash. But when you play with somebody's money, after a while, you got to go. So, they have expiring contracts in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. They can probably get something decent from them. There's no way they're going to pay James Harden in the 2024-2025 season. There's just no way. So, yeah. So that's my first hot take. The Clippers are blowing it up. Atomic bomb. Everybody goes. Ty Lue. Sorry, I like Ty Lue, but he's got to go. Everybody's got to go.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll go ahead and go with my first hot take. And this one, depending on who you ask, could definitely be pretty spicy. But we're going to go with the Denver Nuggets will not repeat as NBA champions. Not only that, but I don't have them making the NBA Finals this year. Now let me explain.
Whoa.
Okay. So, because of the stuff that we have already discussed about the Denver Nuggets, how they are pretty top heavy. You know, you're relying on guys like Christian Braun, and, you know, a couple other low-level names. Reggie Jackson's a decent player to have on your bench, but you don't really have a lot of the necessary pieces, I think, especially losing Bruce Brown, who I think is a major, major loss for them because he carried a lot of the load when Jamal Murray didn't have his game on, or if it was just Jokic and they were sending that double. Teams were bothering him some points in the playoffs. Bruce Brown was that steady hand for them in the playoffs that really made the difference on how they were head and shoulders above everybody else. So what you're seeing right now is they're too reliant on their starters. Jamal Murray is already hurt, and I already see that this could be, because they're a major injury away from a Jokic, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr. from like sliding in the standings. And so unless they make some major moves, if they keep the roster as constructed, I do not see them going back to the NBA Finals, and I do not see them even making it out of the Western Conference Finals.
I got to say something to that. So, who do you have beating the Denver Nuggets out west? Because right now the West looks pretty suspect, other than the Denver Nuggets, in my opinion.
Okay, well, my rebuttal to that will be, so injuries is a big part of this NBA, and any team can go down at any time. If we're talking about right now, I would say it's the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think when you look at the way that they beat them in the beginning of the season, and yes, you can have that crazy look on your face, but just hear me out. Hear me out. Listen. You take an injury to one of those key guys on the Denver Nuggets, God forbid Jokic goes down, that team is cooked.
I get that.
They are super top heavy.
They are
playing some really good basketball. they're also prone. They're an injury away from all of that going away. And a team like the Timberwolves, who is picking up steam at the right time, albeit it is still early, they could give them a good scare. And if they're not fully healthy, that team will beat them in the playoffs.
We got to see the Timberwolves in March, not the Timberwolves in November. You know who we talk about? The Timberwolves, Minnesota. All right, we're gonna come back to this one, but my second hot take for this week: Zion Williamson will be traded either by trade deadline or in the offseason this year. Him saying that he's got to buy into what the New Orleans Pelicans are doing when for the past 2-3 seasons you haven't even been on the court for most of the season. You played 29 games last year. Didn't play the whole 2021 2022 season. Mm-hmm. So why would you have to buy into our process, our system, when you haven't even been a part of our process or our system for most of your career? So he should be happy that they're incorporating him at any level, because he's not. I mean, in last year in the playoffs, he was like, "Well, my head ain't right. I'm not in the right place to come back," when they needed him the most. So no, I mean, so if I'm New Orleans, Zion is out of there by trade deadline. Try to get as much as you can get for him, or by this offseason, I'm letting big man go. He's averaging 21 right now. He's playing okay, but they're not winning. They're not. I mean, last year they were third place by his 20-something game. So when he went down, they were in third place. They're in the middle of the pack in the West. You know, his day has come and gone. We see what he's going to be. We know what Zion's going to be. There's no. I don't see a ton of growth in Zion Williamson. He missed out on the Victor Wembanyama hype train. He missed out on all that. He had a chance, but he fizzled out. He came in at the wrong time near COVID. So Zion will be out of New Orleans by the end of the season.
All right. Well, before I get into my next one, that we ain't just gonna slide past it. You just said they need to trade their corner star player, Zion Williamson. Let me remind you,
not even their number one option right now.
Zion Williamson is taking that team. That team cannot go anywhere without Zion Williamson. We have seen their ceiling. They were a tough out against the Phoenix Suns before Kevin Durant got there, but they were still a first-round exit. There was a reason everybody has been clamoring about, I can't wait till Zion gets back. Zion with this team is going to be scary, right? This man, Zion Williamson, is averaging, like you said, 21 or so right now. But when he was on, he was giving them 25 a night on like 60% efficiency. Like, the man was unstoppable. People like that just don't grow on trees. You need to build around him, invest in him.
So why is he not the number one option? Why does he have to buy into their process instead of being the process of the team?
Their coach is stupid then. If he's not the number one option, when a guy can give you almost 26 on great efficiency, that coach just need to be drug tested. Because there's no way. I love Brandon Ingram. I love CJ McCollum, and that team is a solid team. But there's no way you convince me that Zion Williamson is not the number one option, and wherever he goes is as far as that team can go. But if you think about moving him, you might as well just blow the whole team up. Because who are you going to build around? We've seen Ingram.
I mean, you can probably get some value out of Zion.
An injury, like, you guys think he's injury prone at that point, right?
Trade him to the Lakers for AD.
Yeah, injury prone for more injury prone. Yeah, that makes sense.
Let AD go back to the Pelicans. Right the wrongs that he from his time there. So anyway, that's my number 2.
Okay, well, drug test to the side. I got my next one as the Phoenix Suns are again a first round exit. That's more of a mild take. I think that they are, again, very top heavy, like I think the Denver Nuggets are, albeit the Denver Nuggets are more fleshed out. Like they have a solid 5 where Phoenix has like a big 3 and then a bunch of interchangeable parts. I'm still curious on why they still don't give my man Bo some run. I mean, it's not like their team is like that deep. So, I mean, he got to get some run at some point. I mean, he's, supposedly Wemby before Wemby, but he don't get no opportunity. Everybody be saying he's lazy or he don't got the work ethic. I don't know the real story, but I'd love to see Bo get some minutes. But they're not a very deep team. I mean, Bradley Beal was hurt. 1 minute, Devin Booker's hurt. Look, I give it about 20 more games. KD gonna be hurt. So the team looks good on paper, but the injury bug has stained that team, and I don't believe in that team. I think they're going home in the first round, and simple as that.
So by your logic, we will probably see the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Pelicans in the Western Conference Finals.
The older teams can't stay healthy. Like it's just what it is. Players are getting old.
Okay, I'll take that. So my last hot take for this week of Midweek Mayhem is a simple. It's not too hot, but on October 12th of this year, we were tricked. Damian Lillard was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks, and we all got on the train that the Milwaukee Bucks were the greatest team ever assembled. They were going to ease their way into the NBA Finals, and Dame was just going to be a perfect fit for the Bucks. I think they're having buyer's remorse right now because they're missing Drew Holiday a lot. Drew Holiday knew when to take certain shots, when to do certain things that Dame just doesn't. Dame, we're seeing how much of a volume shooter he is with the Milwaukee Bucks. He's shooting them out of games. And Giannis has given him the green light, but Giannis is like, no, I'm going to take this team back. Because beginning of the season, Giannis wasn't looking like Giannis. But now he's slowly getting back to the Giannis we all know. And Chris Middleton, 32 years old, is playing like he's 64 years old right now. And just looks like he's looking like me out there. So the Bucks tricked us all that they were just going to be this perfect team. They were going to have this perfect offense. They didn't have to worry about defense. They got a rookie coach who you can tell he's a rookie coach because I think Budenholzer would do a lot more with what they have now than what he's doing with them. But the Bucks have us fooled, and I think that they are going to finish the season middle of the pack in the Eastern Conference, which the Eastern Conference, I think, right now is the best conference. I think they're better than the Western Conference, and I think that I think the Eastern Conference is better than the Western Conference right now. And I think you want to see teams like the Pacers, like the Heat. Miami Heat. I'm going to even say it. I'm going to say it. The New York Knicks are teams that can beat almost every team out west. Your magical Minnesota Timberwolves, I think, would be fodder in a 7-game series against the Pacers, the Heat, and the Knicks.
Pacers, Heat, and the Knicks fodder? The
Timberwolves would be fodder against them.
The same Anthony Edwards that's out there giving people 30. Cooking people.
Jimmy will lock him down. Jimmy will lock him down.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Somebody else needs to be
I'm mic dropping on that one. I'm dropping the mic on that.
Yeah, you can drop it, pick it up, and go pick up a drug test because that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. That I've heard some crazy stuff in my life.
So you think the Western Conference is better than the Eastern Conference?
I don't think they're head and shoulders better, but I definitely think they're the better conference because I think the East is top heavy. Like you have the Sixers, you got whatever you think of the Bucks. They're not that impressive to me.
No.
The Pacers are coming on strong. I like them. I like the Knicks.
Celtics.
The Celtics. I know I was missing somebody.
The Heat.
I mean, what? No, I don't got no faith in the Heat. Who else you got? Because I see 5 right there. I don't see nobody besides those 5.
Toronto. Toronto ain't bad.
Stop. No.
Toronto ain't bad. Come on.
No, stop. No.
They all right.
No, they stink. Okay. They were getting tossed by the Wizards until Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma stunk it up in the fourth quarter. And like they had I saw a graphic when there was a 99% chance that the Wizards were going to win that game. They were up 16 in the fourth, and they somehow still lose.
They did the same thing to the Spurs. The Spurs were up by 20 going into the fourth quarter, and Toronto still beat them. So Toronto got some dog in them, and they're not bad. The Eastern Conference is better than the Western Conference. That's it.
That is crazy. Anyway, I get into my last hot take, which I've kind of already alluded to it, but the Minnesota Timberwolves will make a deeper playoff run than the Phoenix Suns, obviously the Clippers, and even the Lakers. Got them going farther than the Lakers.
Talk about, I need a drug test. Call Anthony Towns Timberwolves.
It's not his team. He went ahead and slid in that backseat.
Rudy Gobert's Timberwolves.
Rudy Gobert, as much flack as he gets, he has been playing some really good defense. We're seeing Utah Jazz defense, Rudy Gobert. We're not going to get into his offense because that's not what he's here for. But defensively, teams are shooting a lot worse when he's down there. Okay? But like I said, when you look at the way how they beat Denver, and I mean they beat them, full strength and all, it was 110-89. All right? They're the number one defensive rated team in the entire NBA. You can't ignore that. All right? They beat the Celtics. Another team that you talk about is one of the better teams in the East. They beat them handily. They just beat the Warriors last night. Right? And that's another team that you didn't bring up when we were talking about the best teams in the West and best teams in the East. Warriors are they're in the middle of the pack, and they would still dog half of the Eastern Conference.
They're trending down.
But anyway,
age is catching up to them.
But anyway, like I said, they're going to go deeper than all those LA teams, and yeah, they're that team. They're a team you need to put it on your schedule that they're a team that you need to be.
Write it down. Write it down.
Take
Timberwolves.
a picture. Whatever's going to help you, because they are definitely making a run this year. Ant-Man for MVP confirmed.
Excuse me. Oh, okay. Well, that nonsense aside, Timberwolves will be in the play-ins by, I'd say, before trade deadline. They'll be relegated down to play-in status. They'll be
there right with the Clippers.
The Clippers might not even be there. I picked Memphis to get better to get into the play-ins.
yeah. Memphis. The worst, smelliest team in the NBA right now. Memphis. Yeah, okay. All right, that sounds good.
I don't want to go back to my hot take, but I do want to say this as part of the Dame Lillard thing. Terry Stotts quit, who used to coach Dame Lillard in Portland. He quit the day before the season started. So that tells you all you need to know about what he thought about that Bucks team. So anyways, we're going to move into our hot topic of tonight. And we'll give our thoughts and opinions on this. And this is just for basketball in general, mostly NBA, but any type of, whether it be high school, college, AAU, whatever. But the question is, has offense gotten better or has defense gotten worse? What's your take on that question?
Okay, yeah, pertaining to that question, I think it's not a clear-cut answer, but I would lean toward offense is just better than defense. I feel like dudes who get to each level, if you look at each level, high school, college, professional, I think as a defensive player, you're limited to the referees. And if you look at it from the NBA perspective, what sells tickets, what NBA fans want to see is Steph Curry launching the ball from almost half court. They want to see Giannis dunking on people. They want to see Jokic doing that crazy over-the-head catapult shot in people's face off the wrong foot. Offense pays. puts people's butts in that seat, and it puts money in these rich owners' pockets. But if you look a little deeper, we're starting to see bigs at all levels, starting in high school, being 6'10" big men and dribbling the ball up the floor, going coast to coast. We're seeing them, pull up in the three, get in the mid range, do everything that dominant guards are doing, but at like earlier level. And defense just can't keep up. Like, as a defensive player, if the ref is going to if the ref is going to ref the game in a certain way where you can't play defense to the best of your ability, like, for example, if you're a physical defender, like, put it to an example, like Draymond Green, like, he likes to be physical with people, right? But if the ref stops him early, he picks up 2 quick fouls. Now he can't play defense the way Draymond wants to play defense. That's right. So that limits him as a defensive player. And we both know that if you have, like, not even that good of an offensive player, but if a defender, like when you bring up, like, for example, James Harden, the way he would dictate how the referees would call it, he would do that whole little pump fake thing and then jump into people. Like, the refs would call that. That's how he would get all his, his free throws. And as a defender, people had to literally put their arms around their backs to guard him because it was a walking foul. Albeit, was that, the correct thing that they should be calling at that time? Probably not, but that's how the NBA was ran. And so, I guess, for a long story short, I mean, offense is just better because it just sells more, to be honest.
I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, when you look at clips or highlights, you don't look at clips and highlights of somebody playing defense. You look at clips and highlights of somebody scoring. But two things, I think, and I think you hit on one of them, and that's just the game is a lot faster. So teams aren't playing half-court basketball. And that goes hand in hand with my second point, is that basketball now is positionless. I mean, back in the day, you matched up, if you were 6 whatever, you matched up with the 6 whatever guy, with the center. Each position matched up pretty much, unless you just had a player that just needed a bigger body on him. But I think the fact that basketball now is positionless all the way down to middle school and up. Pretty much you got 4 wings and maybe a big. That's pretty much how the game is played now. So I just think that the fact that it's so fast, teams don't have time to set up for defense. And plus, every team now, they're so spread out. So if you try to help, everybody can shoot on the court just about. So you're leaving somebody wide open that's going to make you pay. So you have to stay in one area. So if this guy's man gets beat, then you either have to hope he messes up his layup or dunk or can't dunk, or you just got to hope that he's not looking for the guy in the corner that I'm running over to help him, leaving to run over and help him with. So with the game so spread out and moving so fast, I mean, defense has been left been left behind. Watching a lot of AAU basketball and watching a lot of organized basketball, you see it. A lot of times you see the kids, they're taught to just throw their hands up just to stay in the passing lane. So when a team gets the rebound and they're rushing back down court, they can kind of try to mess up the passing lane or try to steal. But that's why you see a lot more steals nowadays, but you don't see a lot of true defense being played because, like I said, the game's way too fast. So I mean, that's pretty much how I feel. I mean, and like you said, offense is what brings people to see the game. You don't want to go back to a lot of people think the 80s were when the game was so slow and it didn't score much, but actually the 80s were some of the highest scoring games ever. So it was the 90s that really slowed everything down. And that's where you had your 80, a game would end 90 to 88 or 90 to 85. Those were, and it kind of messed up the game. Luckily we had Jordan to kind of get the fans involved, but everything else was, you could considered it being boring basketball because there was a little more emphasis on defense, and the big man was more important back then than now. It's the perimeter players are the most important players on the court. Back then, the big men were the most important, and the people that were going to get a lot of touches. The point guard was going to try to get inside. So, yeah. So, but do I think the game is being played better now? That's another topic for another time. But I will say it's a lot different now than it was back then.
Yeah, I agree. And I also want to point out that when I talked about all like levels of basketball, like even you like recently when you look at how LaMelo came up and how he, you know, did the defense he wasn't playing as a kid. He didn't need to. He scored like 90-something points just cherry picking. Why? Because that's what sells. Yeah. And his draft stock continued to climb when he was at Chino Hills, and he played no defense. Like I would see plays where they would run defensive schemes where it was 4 and 5, and LaMelo was sitting in that half court waiting to get the ball to throw up some one-legged three from like he was even shooting from half court as a high schooler. Like that's just how offense is. Like, are you going to guard someone shooting from half court as a defender? No.
Yeah. Huh?
You know, so.
And they teach it as soon as AAU or as soon as middle school, because my son, I mean, that's how they lost the championship. One guy snuck back every play. Every time he was sneaked down, and they would get the rebound, just toss it down, easy layup. So, I mean, you're actually doing yourself a disservice playing defense and playing hard because they're just going to use use those little tricks to get easy baskets. So, you know, I just think, and I think a lot of that's analytics. A lot of that is studying the game, and the game is studied a lot more and scouted a lot more now. So, of course, you got people watching the Euro League and all of that. So, you know, you're just putting a lot of different ingredients in one pot to make the game as exciting as possible to sell tickets. So, yeah. So, anything else other than your Minnesota Timberwolves being the best team out west, which is, I'm still baffled by that.
It's called hot takes for a reason. I still think you need to be drug tested at the end of the show, but
he's burning up right now from that take. So, man,
that was really it for me. I knew we got more to get into, you know, on the next episode. So I'll leave it till then.
Yep. Okay, guys, we appreciate you guys checking us out. Once again, if you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. It'll just help us, you know, to do more content. And we'll be back Monday. Like I said, the schedule now from this point on will be Mondays and Wednesdays. Mondays will be kind of our big show where we discuss everything that's going on in the NBA currently. Wednesday will be more relaxed like it was tonight, and just kind of a free-for-all. So once again, we appreciate you guys checking us out. I'm CW, my man Big Nige right there, and we'll be back soon.
All right, y'all.